What's your best childhood memory? Why? Growing up, I didn't realize how poor we were. My parents were amazing at providing for us. We loved watching baseball games and I wanted to go to a game so bad. We never couldn't afford it. To make up for it, while we were at school, my mom made up tickets to that night's game and money for us to spend. When we got home, she had set up chairs in front of the TV and numbered them. Gave us the tickets and money and told us to go clean up before the game. Come game time, we lined up at the doorway. My dad took our tickets and told us how to get to our seats. After the game started, my parents went to the kitchen and had a tray of hot dogs, candy, and soda. Hot dogs. Get your hot dogs. We got out the money my mom made and bought whatever snacks we wanted. Best baseball game I've ever been to. Edit, spelling. Edit 2, I'll dedicate the gold to my parents and spread the love. Having lunch and getting ice cream with my mum and dad when I was 9 in London. My school had organized a school trip and gave me special permission to see my dad instead of going to the Science Museum. We rejoined them later to go see cats. Dad works away from home. Back then, we didn't see him often, maybe a couple times a month if we were lucky. We all got lunch in near Portobello Road and then went to get the ice creams. My dad got a particularly huge one. To my mind, it was like 7 scoops. Everything seems massive when you're a kid, and it all fell onto his tie. We laughed, talked about music and their lives in London before marriage/kids. We walked down the street, holding hands, me in the middle. I know it's such a non-event memory. I'm the youngest of 3 and this was the first, and possibly last time, I spent alone time with my parents, just us 3, like I was their only kid. It made me feel special. I cherish this memory so much. My stepfather designed theater sets and installed a jungle design in my room, after the play was over. My parents' house had a huge prairie field beyond its backyard. There was a lot of wildlife, giant ponds, and tiny forests scattered throughout a giant plain. As an introverted child, I remember going on so many adventures here until the sun came down. One particular moment that sticks with me was sitting on my fence, overlooking the fields watching the sunset with my dog after a long day of playing. It's not a particularly eventful moment, but I remember thinking that moment was perfect. As a kid that grew up reading Calvin and Hobbes, I feel so fortunate I got to grow up in the area I did. It was like I was living the life of my favorite comic. Let's go exploring. The first time my mum was properly happy with her new partner. She had gone through a painful divorce after my dad cheated on her twice and taken some of her most precious belongings. She had barely been able to get custody of me. After that, she dated a sweet man who promptly died in a car accident while they were dating, and then ended up with a very abusive boyfriend. However, now, she is with the man of her dreams, and the happiest she has ever been, and because of him, I've had a real childhood, and a proper family, smiley face. Family vacation to Colorado to ski. They piled all the grandkids, me and 7 of my cousins, in the back of the van and removed the bench seats, replaced them with air mattresses. They hooked up a TV and VHS player and we all watched the original Scream movie while eating road trip snacks and annoying the life out of our grandparents. We stopped the moment we got to where there was snow to have a giant family snowball fight. We took pictures the whole ride on disposable cameras. I think my older cousins mooned a few unsuspecting strangers. 18 hours there and 18 hours back, and the ride was just as good as the actual vacation. Kinda sad, but before my brother committed suicide, he and I spent a whole day playing with Lego and building cool things. It really impacted me positively. I was about 9 at the time. Edit, Lego not Legos. Not fucking thinking about tomorrow. Just woke up, hooked up with friends, spent all day playing stupid games, laughing, fighting, discovering. Nowadays if I have half a day to myself, I think about how I can use it to do something work related so that I can take it easier on the working days. I was maybe 5 or 6, and I woke up in the middle of the night to use the restroom. It was that perfect time where everything is quiet and dark and it just feels so still. When I walked through the living room, my grandfather was sitting in his chair at the table, drinking whiskey and eating buttered saltines. He invited me to sit with him and have a snack, which felt amazing to me since individual time with him was extremely rare. The room was lit only by the warm glow of the nightlight from the kitchen. I don't remember if we talked except for when he told me I'd better be back off to bed, but I remember how it felt. I remember his presence. How big his silhouette looked, sitting across from me. How calm and soothing it was just to be there. It's that kind of memory that just wraps itself around you and envelops you in warmth. It's one of those moments where everything falls away and nothing else exists. Just dark, quiet, and some buttered crackers. He died of cancer not long after that, and that's one of the only memories I have of him. There was one day in the summer of 2003 when me and all the neighborhood kids just hung around outside. We flew kites, played sports, got ice cream from a truck, etc. We spent the whole day outside doing fun stuff. I remember going to bed thinking that it was a perfect day. I still think about it sometimes. Redditors with jobs most people don't know exist. What do you do? I used to be an E911 call tester for a large service provider in the US. Literally drive cell tower to cell tower calling 911, making sure it all routes to the correct emergency services. You'd be surprised at how many times it would fail. I work at a company which will remain nameless that gets rid of commercials in sports bars and now in the home, replacing it with endless amounts of media customizable by the consumer. My job as quality control is to push a button on an iPad when ESPN, for example, switches to commercial from the program, which triggers the change in all restaurants/bars using the service. BTW, every Dave and Buster's in the nation uses our program. TLDR. I get paid to watch ESPN and push a button on an iPad. I used to build hiking trails. A lot of people assume they just are naturally formed or something, but that's the goal of a good trail builder. I know someone that drives around the city rating the quality of each road, block by block. Not the only thing I did at the job, but definitely the weirdest. I worked at a grocery store last winter, right around Christmas time. I had to sprinkle dirt on the potatoes in the produce section to make them look freshly picked. Then the customers would get home and erase all my hard work. I'm the person who argues with your insurance company that you really do need the procedure/diagnostic/medication your doctor ordered. Yes, the patient really needs it. No, that substitution won't do. We tried that already. We tried that too. No, we need it now. So when your doctor or nurse says we're getting that approved, unless it's a tiny clinic, it's someone like me trying to make it happen. And no, I don't always win, but I always fight for it. Edit, my first ever silver. Thank you, kind Redditor. In fact, thanks to all you guys for your kindness. I caption telephone calls in real time for the deaf and hard of hearing as my part-time job. My mom is a horse braider, not a breeder but a braider. She braids horses' manes and tails for horse shows. It's quite lucrative, as people who own horses know, everything to do with horses is expensive. I'm a flavorist. We basically create or duplicate flavors using chemicals, extracts, oils, etc. Food processing destroys a lot of natural flavors, so it's our job to make sure the food tastes the way it should. Products that say made with real cheese taste so good because of cheese flavoring, not because there's a small amount of cheese in there. You think you know how something tastes until someone asks you to duplicate it for them. I paint corporate scenery. Corporate scenery is everywhere, but it's designed to be unobtrusive. Whenever there's a stage at a conference, or a trade show, or product release, or an ad shoot, they hire a scene shop to build and paint their specific design. For a high-profile example, my shop built and I stained the wood for the Ubisoft stage at E3 2019. Pretty much anyone can slap a coat of paint on a wall. My specific skill is needed to mix exact brand color matches, paint logos onto things, and when the work is going to be seen right up close I can do really high finish work to make it totally clean and perfect and give them the exact sheen/surface quality the designer specifies. If you were given a device that could show you everyone who has ever had a crush on you without your knowledge, would you use it? Why or why not? Yeah, totally, that could be an amazing confidence boost. I love laughing at my younger self for being oblivious, so hell yeah. I would not only use it, I would exploit it until they all hate me. Nah. Chances are it would creep me out. What's my uncle doing on here? Device doesn't beep. Fuck you, fucking thing is broken. Device beeps. Fuck you, fucking thing is broken. That's like a depression machine. Either it shows you names of people you missed the chance with due to being oblivious and there's no going back, or it gives you no names and there goes your self-confidence. TLDR, yeah, I'd use it. I would. They say curiosity killed the cat, but satisfaction brought him back. I had a rather low opinion of myself for a very long part of my life and it would be interesting to see who secretly cared for me. No, I don't need to see the list of 0 people who have had a crush on me. Hell no. Looking back at growing up, I wasn't that bad looking and had plenty of girls way out of my league that I was too scared to talk to. I have no interest in how many situations I missed out on because I had no self-confidence. We can all take that to our graves. I ran into the girl I was super into in high school at a bar during college and she was telling me how much she always liked me. I don't need to see the whole list, that was more than enough for me, the one random girl where something could have happened. Yes, and I would show it to them and forcibly tie them down and lick their elbow while whispering how gay I am. Reddit, what's your rule number 1 in life? Always have something to look forward to. Make some future plans. It keeps me going. Listen to my gut. I don't have to always follow it, but taking a moment to step back and ask how I feel about things, and ask myself a few questions to try and see why, has been a lifesaver. Works wonders for handling emotions and making decisions. If you want to have friends, you need to be one. Time is the most important resource. Don't make fun of the way someone laughs. Directly expressing my needs instead of hinting. Don't waste anybody's time. If you ask somebody for a ride, be waiting outside when they arrive. If somebody asked you for a report at work by 3 o'clock, have it ready by 5 minutes to. Basically, just plan ahead and have everything ready to go when it needs to be ready. Nobody's going to want to bother with you if you're not on the ball. Don't assume malice when ignorance is far more likely. Edit, LMAO, I think this is my highest upvoted comment. Thank you, good sirs. Rule 1, be excellent to each other. Rule 2, party on, dudes. If you want your plans to come true, never, I say never tell both those plans to anyone. Even to the closest relatives and friends. The only exception is that those people are directly involved into your plans. What is the longest 5 minutes you have ever experienced? I used to be a firefighter. My kid is still in there. He wasn't. He was hiding in the bushes next door, a bit frightened, but completely fine. I think that took a few years off my life. The time between a guy who was acting weird and kept approaching me while I was mowing my lawn, who then hid and was watching me from my neighbor's lawn, to when the cops arrested him. I went inside to call them via my back door, front was locked, and he followed me and started knocking and scratching against it. I went from hiding on the ground against my back door so he couldn't see me to locked in my upstairs bathroom with a bat by the end of it all. 5 minutes seems like forever when you're terrified. I'm a police dispatch officer and I had a 6-year-old girl call in on the emergency number, and the first thing she said was, "There are men here and they are hurting Daddy." The time it took for the first unit to arrive at the scene was the longest minutes in my life. We were lucky we had units nearby. I'm a paramedic. When the patient isn't doing so hot, I can tell you 5 minutes on the way to the hospital lasts a long ass time. Wife had a seizure during labor. They couldn't find the baby's heartbeat afterwards and rushed to emergency C-section. Everything stabilized, but it was scary, seemed to go on forever. 4 years later everyone is happy and healthy. I was on placement with a doctor and he told a patient that he might lose his leg due to diabetes. It obviously upset him, but the doctor left to go get something, leaving me in the room with him. He must have been gone for only 2 minutes, but I swear it felt like 20. The guy was quietly sobbing to himself and I had no idea what to do or say. Watching sex scenes with parents. I'm an adult now and it still makes me uncomfortable. Sang a song in front of line 300 people without a monitor so I couldn't hear shit, but I just knew I was totally off key. Edit, like asterisk. 6 months ago, anesthesia ended too soon while the surgeon was still stitching up my knee after realigning my patella. There were still 3 stitches to go. I still can't decide what was the worst pain, the tourniquet on the top of my thigh or the stitches. I have a less harrowing answer as well. The last 5 minutes of an ultrasound on your abdomen, when forced to do so with a full bladder. Especially when I got my appointment wrong and showed up an hour early. I have, in all my 30+ years, never had to pee so badly, lol.